This video was brought to you by manco.trade. This site allows you to instantly trade off your unwanted TF2 items for other various TF2 items. Any money that will be left over in one of your trades that you overpaid by gets added to your wallet, which you can then use in future trades. They also hold pretty regular giveaways, so the link to manco.trade will be down below. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Joe and welcome to a brand new video. Now, you guys have been showing so much love on the unused content kind of series we've got going on, and a lot of you guys have been requesting to see more unused content, right? And the next logical thing to do after the cosmetics would be the unused weapons of Team Fortress 2. However, there's a small issue in that a lot of people who have already made videos about unused weapons before, but I figured since this is kind of like a mini series I've got on the channel, it was a bit illogical to leave it out. So, today we are going to be going over and I'm going to be giving my opinions on the unused weapons of Team Fortress 2. Now, there is a lot to go through. There's unused primaries, secondaries and melees, all that we can go through. And I'm only going to be going through the ones with images, as I feel like going through unused cosmetics and stuff where there wasn't actual images of the cosmetics was a little bit redundant. So I'm only going to be going through the ones with images of how the weapons were going to look. Now, without further ado, we could just get straight into it. I'm super excited for this. If you guys are enjoying the unused content, make sure to hit that like button and let me know in the comments below, and let's get into it. So this first weapon is one I'm sure many of you are aware of, being the nail gun, which is a scrapped primary weapon for the scout. This is how it looks, and it completely goes against most kind of weapon designs for the scout. I mean, it's pretty much like a syringe gun, but for the scout. On the TF2 wiki, it says the weapon was scrapped before the final release for unknown reasons. The scout was equipped with the scatter gun as a replacement. Isn't that a bit crazy to think about, that if they didn't change this, this would be like the normal weapon for the scout, and I'd be talking about the scatter gun as an unused weapon. Like, I'm sure it'd provide a completely different play style, and a completely different meta to the scout gameplay. But just all of the pictures of it from early Team Fortress 2 trailers and stuff just look really, really intriguing to me, and I think it would be really interesting to see them maybe add this in later to the game to see what kind of play style this thing would provide. So this next one is a primary for the heavy, being the Ludmeiler. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong, but it was meant to be a scrapped unlockable primary weapon for the heavy. As you can see, the kind of weapon image may be a bit similar to you. That is because the TF2 wiki says it takes on the appearance of what would have later become that of the Natasha. Now, it's probably near enough would have provided the same stats, etc. as the Natasha. It was just a different name and concept for it. But I just thought it was quite interesting to talk about. The Natasha could have been the Ludmeiler, and we would have been none the wiser. And the final one with the image is the tranquilizer gun, which is quite possibly the most intriguing one in my opinion for the spy. It's a slim silver pistol, which is essentially meant to be a tranquilizer gun. This was visible in the first trailer, however in the actual release of the game it was replaced by the revolver, for reasons not a lot of people know. However, the stats for the tranquilizer gun interestingly were released, and it was confirmed that it would slow the enemy down by 50% and reduce mouse sensitivity by 60%. So it wasn't necessarily going to be like a damaging gun, however it would have been perfect for sneaking up on an opponent, hitting them with the tranquilizer gun. It would have been super easy to get behind them with that lack of mouse sensitivity and that lack of movement speed and get the backstab off. So it would have been, that probably would have been the meta with the tranquilizer gun in the game, but it is kind of rumoured that it was scrapped because it was too annoying to play against and it was relatively overpowered. And I understand that. Can you imagine just getting tranquilized across the map? There's no real counter for it. Once you get tranquilized, there's nothing you can do. So I think that it's probably a wise idea that the tranquilizer gun wasn't added in. Now on to the secondary weapons, and the first secondary weapon we're going to be taking a look at is the dynamite pack, also known as the TNT pack, which was a secondary weapon for the demo man. Essentially how it worked was it was a bunch of dynamite strapped together and you could throw it in front of you essentially like a grenade, and I'm assuming it would detonate as a grenade would and deal explosive damage. What I'm reading is that once the initial dynamite pack would explode, it would spread all of the little dynamites that are strapped together into different areas obviously like blowing them away, and then those ones would explode as well. However, this was just replaced by the sticky bomb launcher altogether. It would have been a really interesting concept because you could literally throw this into like an area and do damage to so many different areas because it would literally explode in all different angles. It's just quite interesting to me that this wasn't ever used. Coming up next is the most obscure weapon I think I've seen in this, which is the overhealer for the medic. It literally is about 2 stock mediguns that are just strapped together. It has 2 nozzles at the front instead of 1, and it was called the overhealer. It could boost a player's health by 200% of the maximum, as opposed to the normal medigun's 150% overheal. The trade-off is, however, that the uber charge was very slow, and possibly may not have even existed at all. But eventually it was not used in the game due to balancing issues. Like, can you imagine just running around with this? I think it's a good trade-off not to be able to uber, to literally have like a 600 HP heavy running around, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand 100% why this wasn't added to the game, as I just do feel like it was a little bit broken. Like, you could literally get 250 HP scouts running around, which I just think is absolutely crazy. And finally, guys, we have the syringe for the medic, which was a scrapped secondary weapon, interestingly. Like, I really thought this would have been a melee weapon, but apparently not. This would have been a secondary weapon. Now, I'm really quite intrigued by this one because, as far as I'm aware, it was meant to have healing properties like the medkit from Team Fortress Classic. And how the medkit from Team Fortress Classic worked is that when you use it on an enemy, it'll infect the target with a disease, and the disease will slowly drain the victim's health until the victim dies or is healed by a medic. So it's like a poison in Pokemon. However, if you use the medkit on a teammate, it would fully heal the teammate that you use it on to 100% of their HP. So essentially, you could have just ran around with the syringe, stabbing your teammates, making sure they're all on full HP, but it just does, once again, seem a little bit redundant when there is the medigun. I mean, that's the whole reason the medigun's in the game, you know? But it's a quite interesting concept nonetheless, and it would have provided a completely unique playstyle to the medic. I know, I said I was only going to include weapons that have images for the weapon themselves. However, I just thought this one was too intriguing not to include. This was the fly swatter, which was a melee weapon for the soldier. It could be seen during the first very scary Halloween special, and there was even a kill icon for the kill feed implemented into the game. Like, I just think this weapon as a whole would be so intriguing. I think it would serve purposes very similar to the Market Gardener. If we take a look at this promotional image for it, it looks like it would be used like the Market Gardener, where you'd fly up in the air and swat people as you come down. And I think, honestly, the concept of a fly swatter makes a bit more sense than a green shovel, you know what I mean? Like, to slap people when you're landing on them. I don't know, I just think the fly spotter as a whole is a very interesting concept. Up next, we have the Baleful Beacon, which was an unreleased melee weapon for the Pyro. Once again, it was added during a very scary Halloween special, and it had backpack icons, it had a kill icon, but no model itself, so that's really intriguing as well. It looked like a little lantern hung on a stick, so I'm not too sure how this would have been used. I'm not too sure on anything to do with that, to be honest. All I know is that the design is pretty intriguing, if you ask me. Coming up next is quite a boring one for the heavy. This is the lead pipe. It was then replaced by the fist, so it would have held identical properties to the fist. But as the name suggests, it's literally just a big metal pipe, and that's really all there is to it. And I can kind of imagine why this wasn't added into the game, to be honest, because it's incredibly basic. Coming up next is one I assume would be like an all-class or something, being the crowbar. Supposedly, it held identical properties and textures as the crowbar from Half-Life, so I'm assuming the sound effects, etc. would have been the same as well. I just think it's logical to assume that this would have been all-class melee, and I can definitely imagine it really is a pretty basic design, but that doesn't rule out it ever being added into the game, I don't think. I feel like I really wouldn't put it past Valve to add any of these in later on, but that's just the optimistic side of me. And finally, guys, we have the final scrapped melee weapon, which is the beerstein. It's not known what class this is used for, but I'd definitely assume this would be a scrapped demo man melee weapon. It's a traditional like beer drinking cup, as the name would suggest. There's no official texturing for it or anything like that, but apparently the model's design suggests it being made of something like a glass or a metal or something like that. But yeah, guys, that is just about it for this video. If you did enjoy, then please do remember to leave a like and let me know your thoughts down below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this and general gaming content, then do be sure to subscribe. I am really keen to carry on doing this like unused content type series, so let me know down in the comments what more unused content you'd like to see. But yeah, guys, that's just about it. Thank you again so much for watching, and peace.
Just to vent about my issues. Oh, you can tell by all the lyrics that I fucking miss you. Fuck all these feelings I'd rather not deal. Pull up in the whip, put my head to the steel.